that there is good news for small to medium scale business owners. With SME Plus, you get to manage all your operational costs in communication. This service simply allows you to choose from affordable packages and enjoy talk time, SMS, data, and business content, all bundled in one subscription. The other exciting news is that you get free on-net calls every Monday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Simply dial star 5060 hash to sign up today. WhatsApp or even call them on 0244 308 111 for more information and stay connected everywhere you go. That's what MTN says. If you're not on MTN, get on right now. Dr. Yao Osafo is in here. He's the head of Medicaz Hospital. And today we're going to have an interesting conversation. You know, it's No Bra Day. The doctor and Philip Nine say, oh, that's a better, very, very good way to discuss breast and all the things that you need to know about your breast. So doctor is in here. Doctor, good evening. Yeah, good evening. How are you? Oh, I said good evening. You said good afternoon. Yeah, you're Anyway, but you're welcome. It's been a while. Last week I wasn't here. Alexis was back.
Yes, we missed you last week.
I don't know why Lexus decided to come and play with their feelings, but he'll be back very soon though.
We had an exciting conversation.
Yeah.
With him. He was talking about bald men.
But I'm not bald yet.
No, that was what he was talking about.
I don't know why he decided to talk about that. I don't know why, honestly. But
how's your week been?
Oh, it's been amazing. It's been pretty amazing. Doing the drive time and overdrive.
Right.
Yes, and I actually have a visitor. I'll say a minute, you should show that.
Sharp.
But how's yours been as well?
Yeah, it's been exciting so far.
Nice.
And very rewarding. It's always very good when we're able to, help people and then
that's
pull
true.
out some.
That's true.
Some
there is that sense of fulfillment.
Exactly. So it's tiring, but it's rewarding.
Exactly, and also the cash and skank out.
Philip is my manager. So
all the money there in there. Have you seen his shoe today? Philip, I don't know if he's a fashionista or a producer. I don't know, but we'll find out.
Philip is not swag. All right.
Okay. Anyway, so Doc, today we're talking about breast. I know it's the No Bra Day, and also in the month of October.
We're in the month of October.
It's set aside to, talk about breasts.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So today, what exactly are we discussing?
Right. So thank you, Kofi, and then good afternoon to all our listeners. A special good afternoon to a wonderful lady, Santua Nyako. She's the branch manager, Omni BSIC Bank, Spintex branch. I know she's doing the listening. It's been a year since you lost your dad, and I know you're doing well. I'm sure wherever he is, he's looking down on you, feeling very proud. So, Kofi, we are going to talk about breasts. And I think that's Philip's favorite part of the female's body, it's a breast. There's a saying that male babies never stop breastfeeding. They just take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they come back
they
later.
return, yes.
So Philip is one of those people who just took a short break and then returned with a so we're talking about the breast today.
Right.
So men are stakeholders, women themselves, the breast is something that ushers them into womanhood.
Womanhood, right.
Yes. And it's very important too for babies, because that first milk that we all tasted that is responsible for our state of health also comes from the breast. But Kofi, unfortunately, the breast is also afflicted by disease. And some of the diseases of the breast are benign, meaning harmless, meaning it won't kill you. And then, unfortunately, we've got the breast cancer or the cancerous conditions of the breast. So, a cancer is simply a growth of abnormal cells involving any part of the body. That's what a cancer is. So breast tissue can be sure it will be higher than that. Unfortunately, about 50 to 80% of all individuals who present, women who present with breast cancer, present in the late stages of the disease. So today, if you look, I sent you some pictures of breast cancer, and that's how we see it. I have seen maggots coming out of an ulcerated breast. Pro. That's when they are presenting. And I always make this statement, and sometimes people laugh. I was like, oh, no doctor is a god. We're not going to be able to repair things that are really out of hand.
Yeah.
Right. So late stage presentation. Unfortunately, globally, if you look at the number of deaths arising out of breast cancer, the large proportions occur in low and middle income countries. So our survival rates from breast cancer is poor. It's very low because of late presentation and then also poor access to treatment options. So these are some of the statistics or key facts that I wanted to share about breast cancer. Because of all of this, globally, we've set aside the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we have nicknamed it Pink October.
Yeah, Pink October.
So every year, for example, Medical's Hospital, we will do some activity to commemorate or to draw awareness to that particular, or to breast cancer. So we have started our free breast screening. You just walk in as a female and you can get your breast examined. But, Kofi, do you know that 1% of all the cases of diagnosed breast cancer occurs in men?
Because when you started, I really wanted to ask if it's just that, because I know men also have breasts, you know.
Oh, okay, you do. Most people are startled by this fact. I say, hey, I didn't, no, it's not.
But has it got to do with only men who are plus size and have some, because some men can just touch it but cannot hold it. I can hold mine.
No, so actually what people hold is actually not breast tissue.
Okay.
It's a lot of fat.
Okay.
So those who are big,
okay,
they tend to have fat.
Right.
That is not breast tissue.
Okay.
So breast tissue is separate.
Okay.
In men or in males, then breast tissue is rudimentary. It didn't develop. It's just like comparing a 6-year-old male and a 6-year-old female. They've all got breast tissue.
Yes, please.
But under the stimulation of the female hormones during puberty, then you have breast budding and then breast development. So then the breast develops subsequent to that. So what you can hold most of the time
is fat.
It's fat. It's not real breast tissue.
Okay. And you are
the
saying
breast tissue is there, but it is in its very rudimentary, primitive form that did not develop. But cancer, it starts from a cell. And Kofi, you can't see a cell, let alone hold it.
Right.
Except you view it under a microscope. So all you need is one cell to have a problem, an aberration of a sort, and then it then starts. 1 goes to 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So then it grows and then it multiplies. So that is how it happens. So even if you have little amount of breast tissue there, it is possible. We have also realized that there's a strong genetic component to breast cancer. So those individuals may have a family history of breast cancer. And that brings me to risk factors for the development of breast cancer. And I am going to start there by saying that if you have a positive family history, and by positive family history, we are talking about a first degree relative. So if any of your siblings has breast cancer, if your mother, your parents had breast cancer, if your aunties and uncles, so those qualify as first degree relatives. They're very close to you. Not my mother's
sisters,
cousins,
cousin thing.
That long
so
thing.
Your immediate family.
So, yes, first degree relatives.
First degree relatives,
who have that. So even the men who have breast cancer, we will go into that history and we will ask them about a positive family history of breast cancer. This is where we have a big challenge in Ghana, because in my practice, I have realized And I've been practicing 16 years now, or I'm in my 16th year now.
Wow.
And Kofi, you ask people even about hypertension. Oh, is your mother alive? No, my mother is dead. And you know the cause of death? Oh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even share
those peculiar information about the family.
About health. Everybody clamps up and we don't want to disclose. So when I hear people always talking about politicians and they want to know the state of health of the president or the vice president has traveled somewhere, they want to share. I was like, will you share yours? Do you even share yours with your family or with your brothers? So that's one thing that we need. Family history is very important because some diseases like breast cancer are genetic. So there are genes that have been identified. And if you inherit any of these genes, then if you live long enough, you will develop breast cancer. I think globally, one of the ambassadors, breast cancer ambassadors, UN ambassadors, is Angelina Jolie. I'm sure most of us would know her, a Hollywood actress. And her mother had breast cancer. And the maternal aunt also had breast cancer. She also tested and she had genes for breast cancer.
Wow.
And because of that, she took preemptive action and had both of her breasts surgically removed and replaced. So the genetic factor to breast cancer, it is not spiritual. It is not because you've committed a sin, that is why you're being punished for it. But there's a very strong genetic link. Being female is also a risk factor compared to, so males develop it, females develop it. But overwhelmingly, 99% of all cases, females.
Female, just 1% for the men.
For male. Another risk factor is increasing age. Because we find out that breast cancer is very common in the 40 to 49 age group. And then there's also another peak in the 60 to 70 age group. So if you're a young person, although I must say I have seen or heard of an 18-year-old female who's been diagnosed with breast cancer.
That's too sad.
But then as you grow older, then your risk also increases.
Okay.
If you have a previous history of breast cancer in one breast, then that is also a risk factor for developing breast cancer in the other breast. Late or early onset of menstruation. So in times past, the onset of the menstrual cycle would be somewhere, the age of first menses would be somewhere around 16 years. Or 17, even for most. Now, 11.
Yes.
They're having their menses. Once that starts, it means you are exposed to female hormones, estrogens. All right? You are exposed to it. And we've realized that the prolonged exposure all the way until menopause, which will happen around 48 years, the prolonged exposure to estrogens has been determined to be a risk factor. And that is why we say early onset of menstruation and late cessation of menstruation will give you a long period where your breast tissue is exposed to estrogens or the female hormones. Having no children. Anytime you become pregnant, there is a cessation in the production of some of the female hormones, the estrogens and progesterones. Their levels sort of like go down. You only produce enough progesterone to sustain the pregnancy. All right. So if you've gone from 11 years and you are 45 years now and you've never had a child, it means you have sort of like unopposed estrogen release. So that's what the no children thing. It's not as if it's a punishment for not having a child. It has everything to do with the release of hormones. Again, starting a family at an older age is the same principle at play.
Very similar to having no children.
Right.
Okay.
Again, not breastfeeding is also a risk factor. Obesity is also a risk factor. So last week and last 2 weeks, I think we talked about obesity and the problems that it poses and not just how you look, but the health problems. So obesity is a risk factor in the development of breast cancer. Lack of exercise. I came across this and I was like, really? Yes, but it came up every time studies are conducted. We realize that, yes, a lack of exercise also is a major contributory factor. And then lastly, Kofi, excessive alcohol
Intake.
Philip, these days the women are matching us.
They make what?
Boot for boots. They want to do boot for boots, but please, I beg them. As for alcohol, they shouldn't do boot for boots. They shouldn't bring their equality things. They should leave it. Now they should leave it for us.
But Doc, let me ask. So,
Right.
If someone presents themselves for examination
Right.
of whether they have breast cancer or not, are you able to tell which of these risk factors are associated with their particular case?
Right. So we will take a history. So Kofi, when they come to us, we sit down first and we take a history. So a medical examination always starts with history taken. You're going to have to take a history and you're going to go into and ask them all of these questions to try and understand whether or not they are at an increased risk of. So if somebody has a history of, say, smoking, heavy drinking, they're obese, and then I find a lump in their breath, I will be more inclined to think this is breast cancer and then send her for further investigations. But then again, too, there are signs and symptoms that would point to or would suggest that somebody has developed breast cancer. What are some of these things? Well, most of the time you find a breast lump, a painless breast lump. And then again, this will bring me to something that I have observed in my clinical practice, which is that in Ghana, our health-seeking habit is that if it doesn't hurt, I don't go to the hospital to go and talk to a doctor or a nurse about it. So pain is one of those things that drives us to go to the hospital. So unless people have caca,
you don't want to go to the hospital.
You never see a dentist. Oh, go 6 months, go and do scaling and polishing, let a dentist clean your teeth and all of that. No. If it is not painful, most of the time we don't go to the hospital. That unfortunately appears to be our health-seeking habit. So typically the lump of breast cancer in the early stages is a painless one. And that's why we have a headache. Because people find a lump in there, then they just leave it. So don't leave it. Typically, breast cancer in the early stages is painless.
Okay.
You may find a lump in there.
So it's not every lump that
No. Not every lump could. But not all of them are cancerous.
Okay.
But we'll have to subject that lump to further investigation
Investigations, okay.
to be able to come to the conclusion that this lump is cancerous or is not cancerous. The second sign is a nipple discharge. So,
Okay, Doc, just finish that, and I have one question.
right,
With
so
the nipple discharge.
if you find any discharge from the nipple, then you will have to note the color. If you get a piece of white tissue paper and you dab the nipple, the white provides a good background for you to determine the color.
Okay.
If it is bloody, brown, black, we worry. It is likely to be a cancerous condition of the breast. It can be milky, but if it is milky and you've not had a baby, well, it could be a tumor in a part of the brain. Something we call a prolactinoma. Yes, so sometimes...
And it discharges through the
yes, and then it causes you, it stimulates a lot of it produces a lot of the hormone that stimulates your breast to produce milk. So you produce milk, but then you don't have a baby.
Yes, so...
You've not been pregnant and you've not had a baby. Yet you're having a milky nipple discharge. Yes, that's a totally different condition. That's why I make the statement that you shouldn't have a nipple discharge under any circumstances.
Yeah, but how does the nipple discharge happen? I mean, I'm sure maybe the women know, but I don't know.
They take off their bra, and if it's a light-colored bra or something, then you find a demarcation, as if there's been some fluid that has dried up. That's how most of them get to know about it. Or sometimes if Philip is playing with it too, then the thing can come.
Doc, if you are
then-
if you are if you are a young boy
Yeah.
of say 14 years of age,
Okay.
you squeeze your breast and there is a discharge. Is it connected to breast cancer?
Well, it's the nature of it. Would like to know the nature of the discharge. That's
As young as 14?
yes, I'll be curious about it. It may be something like I'm saying, it may be a brain tumor.
Okay.
There's something we call a prolactinoma. It's a brain tumor that leads to the production of milk, or that causes you to have a milky discharge. So that may have absolutely nothing to do with your breast,
okay.
but everything to do with the brain.
Okay.
So, Kofi, there are other symptoms
I would
which
like to
are
know.
signs. The skin changes. So the skin over your breast should have this normal skin that you are used to. If you find a rash on your breast, please get a doctor to see it. I've seen it countless number of times. They will say, oh, in so be good, or there was a rash and I was
Yeah,
scratching,
yeah.
and then later on it became ulcerated, and then now I have this particular condition. So please, a rash on the breast. If you realize that the skin looks like the peel of an orange peel, where you have these sort of like dotted
Yes,
appearance.
yes.
We call it pod orange. All right. Then peel of an orange appearance of the skin of the breast. That is also worrisome. If you have an ulcer, a crow around your breast, that is also worrisome. Changes in the breast. So if you've got a pair of breasts, and symmetry is what we look at. Yes, the breasts are not exactly equal in size, but except you've got detective eyes and you are doing ruler measurements, you
yes.
probably may not notice
No,
it.
right.
But if there is an obvious asymmetry between the breasts, it should be something that should get your attention.
One is like
One is far
orange,
bigger.
and one is like some big bowl of fufu or something.
Exactly.
It's so obvious.
It's so obvious that there's a change. If you have a lump in your armpit, that may also be suggestive. Why am I talking about the armpit? Well, anatomically, structurally, the breast has a tail. The tail of the breast inserts into your armpit. So the tail of the breast. So you've got breast tissue in the armpit. And that is what we are referring to. So the breast cancer may come and it may start in the armpit. So these are some of the early or late signs and symptoms of breast cancer.
Wow. Doc, I'm receiving, I haven't even put out our WhatsApp number, but I'm receiving questions, with regards to breast cancer. So you know what we're going to do? We are going to ask you to come again next week. And let's have a conversation.
Let's do a part two.
Yes,
Let's do a part
and
two.
Find out how we can be diagnosed and the treatment options that are available.
Right. I think next week too, I'd like to talk about the breast examination technique.
Okay.
The breast examination technique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about breast examination technique as well.
Sure. So listeners, we have been speaking with Dr. Yao Osafo, who is the CEO of Medicas Hospital. Doc, your hospital is in
Medina Firestone, right behind the SG Bank, and then our HQ is in Mampong, Equiapem.
Okay.
And
all right.
those who want to call us,
exactly, I was coming to that.
0501 477 340. 0501 477 340. And then please feel free, walk into our Medina Firestone branch and get your breast examined by a doctor or by a nurse.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Yao Osafo. I really hope that we're going to continue this conversation next week and we find out exactly what you need to do when you have breast cancer, what you need to do to know that you have breast cancer and what to do if you really have breast cancer. This has been the Drive Chat on Joy 99.7 FM. It's brought to you by MTN Everywhere You Go, Access Bank, More Than Banking, Onga Chicken Tablet, Mama's Helping Hand. Onga, proudly Ghanaian.